Hi friends, welcome to this latest episode of the Nationalist View. We have with us a very special guest, Mr. Senge Sering from Gilgit-Baltistan. And Mr. Senge Sering, he is the founder of Institute for Gilgit-Baltistan Studies, which is a think tank based in Washington, D.C. in the United States of America. He has been working for more than 2 decades for the cause of Gilgit-Baltistan. And as I mentioned earlier, that he was born there, he was brought up there, and then he moved to Washington, and now from USA and from across the globe, he pursues the cause of Gilgit-Baltistan, which is a very understated cause as compared to many other causes. So we in this program we have done a program with him earlier, and we are trying to look at the situation in Gilgit-Baltistan in Pakistan-occupied Jammu Kashmir, and a detailed bio of Mr. Sering will be there in the description box of this video, along with the links of some of his latest work. He also writes extensively, and he has appeared in several international conferences. He's a scholar and a human rights activist also. So, Mr. Sering, thank you so much for taking time out from your busy schedule.
Thank you so much, Arunji. I'm really happy to be back on your show, and I hope that I'll be able to provide information that is very interesting for the people back in India, as well as help them understand what's going on in PoJK.
So, sir, as you mentioned, right now there seems to be a bloodshed which is going on in PoJK, and there are reports, varying reports, from 30 to 60 unarmed civilians killed in the indiscriminate firing by security forces of Pakistan. So, what is actually happening on the ground? What are the reports which you are getting in terms of the actual death toll in PoJK, as an agitation has been going on for now almost about 40 days? So, what's your network, is telling you in terms of the PoJK?
So this agitation has been going on for last, I would say, more than 3 years actually. And it has been picking up. It has been augmented by the enhanced awareness among our local people, who now think that Pakistan has exposed itself as a brutal occupier rather than a benign state, which in 1947 tried to lure people in the name of Islam, in the name of Islamic Brotherhood, and in the name of Islamic welfare state that they promised to establish for the people of PoJK. And it is very difficult, to be honest, to ascertain at this point the exact number of dead. We know that there are different websites that are sharing information with us. People do not have access to internet there. People have actually stopped going to the crowded urban areas. They do not want to get arrested. A large number of political activists have cases registered against them, and the Pakistani security forces are looking for them. So many of them are hiding in forests. Many of them are hiding in villages. You must have seen videos recently that Pakistani security forces are setting fire to the forest there to discourage people from going towards those hideouts. They're also trying to use the members and the political workers belonging to Pakistan People's Party and Pakistan Muslim League to get more information about these human rights activists who are using different channels to share information outside the country. Sometimes people try to go towards the line of control to see if there's some signals coming from the Indian side. But, as I said, there's like a ruthless crackdown on those people, and they've been pushed away from those areas as well. Many people who had cell phones that were working with, some international, support, they have been confiscated. So it is very difficult to, ascertain the numbers right now. But to some extent, we can say that more than 600 people have been kidnapped, forcefully disappeared by the Pakistani security forces in the last few weeks. The total number in the last 3 years, I would say, have increased over 1,700. Many of them probably are lingering in jail, but we do not know. Many of them, we even do not know their locations. The dead bodies, local people say that there are anywhere between 6 to 8 dead bodies that have been buried in the villages. So those are the confirmed numbers that you have. Other bodies, they are being kept in the hospitals under the supervision of the Pakistani security forces. And the Pakistani security forces have one condition to return those dead bodies, that the loved ones of those deceased, they must give in writing that these people were miscreants, they were terrorists, and they committed treason, they committed a terrorist activity, and because of that they died. And local people are not willing to do that. They do not see any crime in standing against an oppressive regime. They do not see any crime in protesting out on the street to demand their basic rights. Why are they protesting? They are protesting because the political institutions and the judicial institutions have completely failed to take care of their needs. So that's why, we do not know the exact number. It is said that more than 47 in total have died so far. But as you know, the number vary anywhere between 36 to 60 and above. So, we're still trying to get more information out about that.
So we have seen, the Pakistani, on one hand, the Pakistani establishment or Islamabad. So they claim that Pakistan-occupied Jammu Kashmir is an autonomous territory. They call it Azad Kashmir. And on the other hand, the Pakistani security forces are using live ammunition and shoot at sight tactics against peaceful protesters. So isn't there this contradiction, and how do you look at this contradiction?
Well, to be honest, if you start from 1947, Pakistan never occupied these areas as to establish an autonomous land here, an autonomous administration here. For instance, if you look at the Karachi Agreement clearly shows that Pakistan has complete control over what needs to be done about Gilgit-Baltistan. There was no say of the local people in how Pakistan would directly get involved in the administration of Gilgit-Baltistan. So that shows a clear distinction between what an autonomous region is. I mean, I was just reading yesterday that one of your states have uranium. I think it's Meghalaya.
It's Meghalaya.
Meghalaya.
Yeah.
And the central government cannot do anything or do not want to do anything because the state government said we're not going to let the uranium deposits be, developed and exploited. It is not in our interest. And I was reading that I think a majority of the uranium that India, possesses right now comes from that one state. So that is called, autonomy. When the local institutions say it is not in our interest to do something, we're going to vote against that. And then the central government said, okay, we're not going to do that. But meanwhile, we'll try to negotiate with you and find an alternative, plan B, plan C, something. So you're also happy at the same time we can do something for the greater collective good of the country, right? Not in Gilgit-Baltistan, not in PoJK. I mean, PoJK is ruled by the Pakistani military. It is in complete control of the Pakistani bureaucrats. They control the finances. They control the natural resources. All the natural resources that have been exploited there are done without the permission of the local people. Otherwise, when the local people stood against the Neelam Jhelum project, then Pakistan should have shown respect and listened to them, but they didn't. So there's no autonomy there. There's a ruthless and brutal, occupation that is, Pakistan is there as an occupying country. United Nations never allowed Pakistan to administer PoJK. There's no concept of Pakistan administered of Jammu Kashmir. Pakistan is an occupier. They were asked to withdraw within a certain time limit, and they forgot and they refused because Pakistan is known for violating domestic as well as international laws, and that's what they've been doing. And now they're talking about this thing called the Indus Valley Civilization, the Islamic Republic of Indus. What they're trying to do by, trying to bring even these areas in PoJK even closer to Islamabad. and they want, to have complete control over the Indus water and want to communicate to the world that we have the first right over the Indus water, not India. India has the Ganges, basin. We have the Indus basin, so this belongs to us, and that's why India doesn't have the right to stop our water. India doesn't have to exercise its rights as an upper riparian. We do not have to maintain peace with India, cordial relationship with India in order to get water. This water belongs to us. And while Pakistan is doing that, what they're trying to do is they're trying to remove the PoJK districts even farther away from the rest of Jammu and Kashmir by calling it, the extension of Pothohar, extension of Jhelum and Mansehra. So, they never believed in its autonomy. They eventually want to assimilate, and annex it, and that's what they're trying to do.
So, just to be on a little, I would say, kind of because being a media person, so that's a curiosity which I have. While innocents are being killed in Muzaffarabad, Rawalkot, and in other parts of PoJK, the Pakistani state has also enforced an internet blackout, as you mentioned earlier. So now, how are experts like you bypassing this to get information about the bloodshed and of course, there's a lot of documentation also. There are a lot of videos also which are coming out. The audiovisual documentation. There are a lot of stories which are appearing in international media also. So how this is being being taken out? Because I've heard that Starlink through basically but the satellite phones and all that have been also confiscated. And I doubt, given the kind of underdevelopment which PoJK has suffered over the last, more than 7 decades, there wouldn't be, too many people who would be having that kind of very advanced facility. It wouldn't be available at the mass scale. And
Yeah.
the way these videos and this information is coming out, minute by minute information is coming out. So, how is this happening, and what are your sources telling you?
You see, the raw data that comes out of either Gilgit-Baltistan, Mirpur, Muzaffarabad, Kotli, it would not make the same impact, if people like us who are sitting outside are trying to give a meaning to it, right? So that is really important, that this collaboration and the coordination of people who are sitting outside, who are out on the street. Like yesterday, I was in front of White House in Franklin Park, and then we were communicating to the American public. We're trying to communicate to them that what Pakistan is doing is not right. What President Trump has done by giving a new life to Pakistan is not right. Pakistan is committing a genocide. Pakistan is, molesting local people. So far, there are many women who have been kidnapped and taken to unknown places. Pakistan is really good at obfuscation and, fudging data. We know that from what they did in East Pakistan, now Bangladesh. We know what they are so good at by looking at how Balochistan has not picked up, the same international momentum and attention it deserves. And the same with the Pashtun issues. Pakistanis are really good at doing that. During Operation Sindoor, you saw, how Pakistan is so expert at churning data and giving a completely false meaning to it and presenting to the international community, where Pakistan itself is the occupier. It is a brutal force, but then it presents itself as a victim of terrorism. And it keeps saying that 60 to 70,000 Pakistanis have died, and that makes us a victim. No, it doesn't make you victim. It makes you either foolish or evil. Your own bad policies killed your own citizens. Your own selfish policies, self-centered attitude, short-sightedness. This is what killed your own citizens. You tried to make quick money. You tried to cut corners, and while doing that, you destroyed your own society. You destroyed your own culture. You destroyed your own social fabric. You destroyed the ethnic groups. You destroyed the minorities. You have committed genocide against Shias and Baluch, and against PoJK, against Kashmiris, against Pashtuns, against the Mahajirs, the people who helped you create Pakistan. This is your own doing. You're not a victim. So this is really important for people like me to come out and communicate to the world. Otherwise, there will be not just one President Trump. There will be like 20 more President Trumps telling to the world that Asim Munir is a great person. Not like he's a butcher, not like he's a genocide committer, but he's a great, field marshal. He's a great friend of mine. This is something that the international community need to see, and it cannot happen if information is not coming out and then communicated through people like me. Pakistanis want to communicate to their own general public that whatever is happening in PoJK, what is happening in Balochistan is the fault of the local people. They are responsible for it and they deserve punishment. This is what they do through their media. If you remember what they did in Bangladesh, they used to call these East Pakistanis, people who are responsible for their own impoverishment, responsible for own deprivation, and then eventually when they wanted to rise and ask for rights, then they were called terrorists and traitors and disloyal to the country, disloyal to Islam, and eventually they were able to commit a genocide of 3 million people because of the way they churn information. So Pakistanis are really good at fooling their own domestic public, and this is exactly what they're doing right now. They're telling their public that through their own media that whatever is happening in PoJK is the fault of their own people. So I think people like me are extremely important to negate that and counter that and tell the international community that no, we are the victims, we are the occupied people, and Pakistan has been doing it not just to us but everyone out there. And international community should stop supporting President Trump should stop supporting Pakistan. Do not give them more oxygen, more money. I just heard that IMF is going to give them $3.6 billion. Where do you think that money is going to get spent? For on killing people in PoJK in Balochistan and Pashtun areas. So I think this is something that the people who are sitting outside the diaspora, they have a huge responsibility. We without us, I think it won't be possible for local people to really present their case in a just manner.
So,
I just want to add something here.
Please.
Day before yesterday, Nazakat, that's the name of the person, he was filming a rally of the women there, right? And they shot him in his head. It was an instant death. He died at the spot. They shot him in his head. They're looking for people who are filming and communicating those videos outside, because Pakistan is really scared of information. So when that information gets to people like us, it becomes lethal. So that is something that we need to know, that we have to stand with those people. We really, really have to be out there for them. Otherwise, all that hard work, all the sacrifices they're making with their lives will go waste.
So, as you mentioned, just mentioned about the women rally, and so let's talk a little bit about women and children, because very often they are the most vulnerable when it comes to a conflict situation, and we have seen with women and children among the dead in PoJK in this madness, basically, which is going on behalf of the Pakistani establishment. So, in the long run, but like what we have seen in Balochistan, now there were women suicide bombers, which were coming out from the Baloch Liberation Army, and then it's actually the women who are leading on-ground agitation in Balochistan to a large extent, with leaders like Dr. Maran Baloch. So now coming back to PoJK, so I want to talk a little bit about the psychological scars which are left on a society, when women and children are targeted by the security establishment, as the Pakistani establishment is doing. So this state-sanctioned violence, what is going to be the impact on, especially the youth demographic? How they are going to respond to it? Whether the Pakistani establishment will ever be able to engage with them again, and how within PoJK the targeting of especially women and children. So how it is being looked at?
Well, the nature of engagement of an occupier and an occupied nation changes when a new generation comes forward, right? They do not have the same emotional baggage that their forefathers had from 1947. This is, you can see in Balochistan, the way Balochistan movement has become widespread and taken over by the middle class, by taking over the local people, and not just by few leaders, which they started in the 1940s and 50s and 60s, and there were like military operations against them, and Pakistan was using their air jets and as helicopters, to bomb villages in Balochistan. Right now, it is in the hand of the middle class, and a large majority of them are youth. This is the same situation in PoJK in Gilgit-Baltistan. People do not want to judge Pakistan. People do not want to gauge Pakistan from what happened in 1947, because Pakistan has failed. There's an utter failure when it comes to delivering to the local people. All the promises that were made to the local people, they were false. They were not going to come through. And, Pakistan has presented itself as an exploiter, a true exploiter, right? So this is letting the youth come forward now, because the nature of the engagement with Pakistan is changing. That means with the passage of time, women also coming forward. It's not just like men on the street. So as I just mentioned, there are so many people out there on the street, and women were matching the rallies, and some of these women have been kidnapped. When an occupied nation is humiliated and their identity is challenged, these are the times when people really stand up to defend their communities and their nations. And this is what Pakistan has done in PoJK. I've written articles on how the Pakistani society has failed the people of PoJK and only used them against India in Kashmir Valley. That is the only utility they have found of these people. They do not even see them as equal humans. So that humiliation that they have seen over the last 78 years is forcing them to change their behavior and their, future destiny of their land. I've written articles on how Pakistani soldiers rape local women. That humiliation of the women cannot be justified, and it cannot be tolerated, especially by the youth, who have no social baggage, who have no emotional baggage of 1947. They see Pakistan as a ruthless, brutal occupier that is only interested in their land and resources without the people. They want the people to be gone. They don't care about the people. They just want their land and resources, So these are important things that the youth are looking at. That's why the women are coming out. They are justifying this. As you said, in Balochistan, for instance, there were many Fedayeen attacks that happened there. Women are desperate. They have no other way out. They do not understand how a country that is supposed to give them protection and give them, equal rights and treat them as equal Muslim, brethren, have turned against them and treat them like, minions, like their foot soldiers, like, a strategic fodder against India, and nothing more than that. So I think this is something that is, changing the society. And as you see that men are out on the street and they're sacrificing their lives, obviously their women are not going to go and sit in the house, when their sons, their fathers, their brothers, and their husbands are getting butchered. They're in the jail. As I said, there are thousands of people who are missing right now. We do not know what's going on with them. So this is the exact situation that you see that was in East Pakistan, that is in Balochistan, and now in PoJK, women are out on the street. And I think this is giving new hope. When the women are out the street, the men really get, this energy that they really need to, I think that's why that is fueling that energy. And we are going to see that this time there won't be any compromise by the local people. So I think that is something that, that is happening right now.
So, sir, that brings me to, the last question of this conversation. Has the spilling of local blood in PoJK by Pakistani security forces, so has it permanently broken Pakistan's control over PoJK? And because we have seen that it has driven protesters to openly appeal to India for help. Now, this is a place from where Pakistani establishment, as you mentioned, the PoJK, people in PoJK, they were used basically to against no India. So and now they are appealing openly to India for help from across the border. So how do you see this thing? So is it are we there at a point of no return? Are we approaching the point of, or basically the PoJK is approaching a point of no return, or Pakistani establishment is approaching a point of no return where it has lost complete control over PoJK permanently?
Well, Pakistan was doing okay as long as Pakistan was able to keep the local people from learning about the realities and just live in this fancy world of Islamic Brotherhood and how, Islam is going to be the binding force to take over the entire Kashmir Valley, Ladakh, and Jammu from India, and, restore the Islamic, Sultanate, or I don't know, whatever they dream about. Now people know that India is the constitutional guarantor. Pakistan is not. I think this is the big difference that I see now. Like 5 years ago, nobody talked about letter of accession. They knew letter of accession existed, but then Pakistani media and Pakistani school books have told them that those are fake documents. So now when they have access to these documents and they understand, this time when they talk about this, they talk about the letter of accession as a valid legal document that has some weight and respect. So this has changed their behavior that, India is the guarantor, is the constitutional, guarantee needs to come from India. But at the same time, I have to tell you, they're really, really disappointed in India. Remember when Operation Sindoor happened? And after it was abruptly called off after 3 or 4 days, there were so many people in PoJK that, I've talked to in Gilgit-Baltistan who did not understand, what was the reason behind that? What is the larger implication of India not going through, all the way? But the fact is that they were really, really angry. So it seems that, they look up to India. I mean, right now, many people in PoJK are asking people in Punch and Rajouri for food and medicine. They're asking the Indian government there to help them, So I think that is something that they ask India, they expect that India will be, what I see is that, India has become this strong country, it's the third largest military in the world, the fourth largest economy in the world. It has a 4 trillion economy. It has gained the strategic clout that it was not there 5 or 10 years ago. It needs to match its potential in PoJK. It has not been able to do that, and the local people, they are very impulsive. I mean, I do understand while sitting in the United States that India has all the time in the world to wait. It is not in a hurry. Local people don't understand that. They are very impulsive. They are desperate. They have a huge wall in the name of line of control, blocking them from rest of Jammu and Kashmir. And now there's another wall on this side, which is the Pakistani soldiers. No food going in, no medicine going in, people dying of, starvation. They have sent in another 8,000, I think, paramilitary and military, yesterday. So I think this wall from Pakistan and the wall towards India, this is something that is really making the local people think, there's a responsibility that India needs to take, and India has not been able to do that, There's a point of no return, as you mentioned. It depends on India. It does not depend on the local people. Local people, in 1950s, there were uprisings. There were women who picked up guns. We have not seen that this time yet. But in 1950s, people in Rawalakot and Palandri and other areas, the women picked up guns against Pakistani soldiers. It went on for 7 to 10 years. There was massacre. There was bloodshed. There was no India then. India has its own understanding of the issues, and India has a much bigger picture. It has international obligations. We understand that. India has the time to wait, but local people are very impulsive, and they think that if India owns this land, then they need to be upfront about it. So I think that is something that I would like to say, that if the point of no return, it all depends on how India reacts to the situation, but the local people have understood that they're Indian citizens. They're not Pakistani citizens. If They have to find a solution for this impasse that has been there for the last 78 years. It is only going to come through when they talk to India, not talking to Pakistan. Pakistan has stopped talking, they have started killing. So by talking to India is something that need to happen. And I don't know, how many more months or years it is going to take, but that is, I think, going to change a lot of, things for the people in PoJK.
Thank you, Mr. Sering, for sparing your time and decoding all these issues, and we'll continue to follow this region, and because it has wider implications not only for regional security but because of the strategic position of place like
Yeah.
Gilgit-Baltistan. No, it has global
Yes.
implications, and we are going to actually have another conversation with Mr. Sering on the global strategic importance of Gilgit-Baltistan, because that is and it actually is a theater of what you call the new great game. So
It is the
yeah,
pivot. It
so we
is.
are going to talk about it because he is the best person to talk about it. And thank you so much again, Mr.
Thank
Singh,
you
for
again.
joining
I
this
really
show.
appreciate that.
And we
Thank
hope
you.
to host you back soon again. And thank you, viewers, for watching. We'll be back soon with another conversation. Thank you very much.